and welcome to the Rolling With series. I'm Will, and with me as always is the lady from the far off land with a funny name I can't pronounce.
Sarah?
And, and we're looking at Dominion Hinterlands. Sarah, or whatever you said your name was, tell us about this game.
All right, Hinterlands is a big expansion that introduces effects when gaining or buying cards. Honestly, this is a very different expansion in that it's a big box expansion. It introduces a lot of cards, but it doesn't introduce complexity because at least about half of what it offers is effects when you gain a card or when you buy a card. And those are
when this is in play.
Yeah, well, this is in play.
And you do something.
Yeah.
This happens.
So it's like triggering effects, but like some of them, especially the gain cards or buying cards, they happen once during the life of that card, of using that card. So it's like a momentary ooh, and then it just plays normally after that.
Yes.
So
I think the concept is that it's representing culture shock. Because remember, these are far off lands. They don't do things the way you do. You know, you're like, oh, well, I want a waffle. What do you mean you don't have waffles? Well, isn't that kind of like a waffle? That's a pancake? What's a pancake? It's like a waffle. I'm pretty sure. So it's that initial, you have something similar, but something different changed.
Right.
And you have to pay attention and you have to adjust for it.
Yes.
And then you can go on.
Right. And then it goes on the way you think it goes. Yeah.
Right.
Now, so it's funny because for me, when I think of Hinterlands, I'm like, I have positive feelings towards it, but I always have a hard time remembering exactly what it introduces because while these gaining and buying effects are really neat, I don't know, it's not that they're not memorable, but they're kind of not.
Well, because the things they still have you do when gaining or buying are stuff you're normally with. You're just not used to them happening when they happen at that time.
That particular time.
Because remember, we have waffles, but not pancakes.
Yes.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. Some other neat things that this expansion does introduce are treasure cards that have effects. Because up to this point, most of the treasures have just been worth...
treasure.
Yeah, they just worth money.
Yes.
But now you've got some that are like, oh, well, again, when you gain this, you gain 2 coppers. So, I mean, that's another thing. Or when you play this, you may gain a copper. So there's these effects that occur when you're playing it for its treasure or gaining it or whatever, that something else happens along with it. And this was the first expansion that really had that.
Yeah. So consequently, what happens is you have a game expansion that forces you to pay attention closer to the game because the game is sort of reacting to you.
Yes.
When I do something, other things happen and spiral off. So you have to pay close attention that you're not missing anything.
Yeah, and that may be another reason why I have more trouble with this one is that it's very important to pay attention to timing because you need to have things in the right order to get the effect to be as effective as possible.
Or get it when you want it.
Right, exactly.
Or when it can help you.
Exactly. The other thing that it introduces are victory point cards that have variable points or various effects. There have been some before this.
The fairground.
The fairgrounds.
Cornucopia.
But this has more of those, and some of them actually having effects that occur during the course of the game and not just victory points at the end of the game.
Yes.
So
who would you say this is for?
This is definitely for advanced players.
Yes.
The effects are more complex and timing is really that much more important because if you're gaining a card and it does a thing when you're gaining it, you again want to take maximum benefit from that effect happening. And so you need to put all your ducks in a row and make sure they're all facing forward, you know.
Yeah, this is not plan like, say, alchemy.
Right.
This is pay attention because everything's happening practically on your turn where all the stacking of abilities take place.
And there's a few reactions that react to what other people are doing that are not your normal, oh, I'm going to curse you, so you want to do a reaction to that, but it's somebody, playing.
When they gain a province,
Yeah.
well, I throw this down and this
Yeah.
happens.
Exactly.
So
timing is definitely more important, very important in this, and so the complexity is definitely, you need to be very familiar with Dominion and be wanting the more complex nature of this.
You're just going to get frustrated if you play it with a less experienced player and like 3 turns go by and they're like, oh, I had the thing that could have happened back then. And it's like, do you even want to deal with that situation of, do we rewind? Do we just say no? Do we let them do it because they're a novice player? And then, of course, they win because they're getting all these benefits when they're not supposed to.
Yeah, that's definitely not a situation you really want to get into because you don't want to hurt the person's feelings for not understanding how it works. But on the other hand,
you almost need to be this skilled in order to play this game.
Yeah.
And so that's where Hinterlands is, because the people from that land don't put up with stuff like that.
Right. But it will be very rewarding for those who want this level of challenge and interactivity. And like I said, the whole buying and gaining is really fascinating, and it's interesting if you can get it to work right for you.
Yes.
Yep.
So that will do it for us here at Rolling with Series. Remember to check out the other video where I perform the flavor text for Dominion Hinterlands, which is probably the hardest one I've did in the entire Dominion family. So that's fun.
It's fun to watch.
And you could try it yourself. Why not? If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, check us out on all our social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And that's all for us. And it's Sarah? Sarah?
And you are real?
Yes. And we've been Rolling with Dominion.